Good morning, Wisp. It's a Monday. So, in recent news, Meaghan went to the hospital with a concussion. Now you're probably wondering, how did she get said concussion? Well, there's a story behind that. You see, she was kind of fighting a bear when it happened. Not really a bear, more like a robot bear. A robot space bear. A robot ninja space bear, actually. There's a story behind that, yeah. So anyway, let me start off with the space part. So as you probably know, before they sent people into space, um, they actually sent animals into space. Let's see, in August 31st, 1950, the U.S. launched a mouse into space. On July 22nd, 1951, the Soviet Union launched some dogs into space. Um, the U.S. launched a chimpanzee into space. Sometime, I don't know. Um, until in 1961, Yuri Gagarin was the first human in space. Now, what they don't tell you is that November 3rd, 1957, the Soviet Union sent a bear into space. Okay, so you're probably wondering why they would send a bear into space. Well, originally it was a plan spearheaded by Sergei Korolev. I don't know, can't pronounce it. He was known as one of the chief designers of the whole Soviet space program. Uh, he oversaw the success of Sputnik and the Vostok uh, satellites. But anyway, um, around the 1950s, the Soviets were already thinking of traveling to other galaxies, and they began experimenting with ways that they could send the human body into a type of hibernation, so that over many years, like a person wouldn't age, and they just like sleep through a whole voyage, for example. So anyway, they were using bears, because bears naturally hibernate, and they were using a way to I don't know the exact science behind it, but they were able to keep the bear in a state of hibernation for long periods of time. So they sent it off. So they sent the bear into space. They just shot it off, whatever, far off into space, see if it would work. Fun fact: Sergei Korolev, whatever his name is, actually married a bear. Like, legitimately. I'm not making this stuff up. Like, he was legally married to a bear in the Soviet Union. He was crazy, but yeah, it happened. True story. True story. So anyway, that's where the space part comes from for the space bear. So anyway, next part. It's a robot space bear, right? So eventually, Space Bear found his way to Mars. And you're probably thinking, what's so special about Mars? Well, turns out there is actually intelligent life on Mars. The U.S. didn't actually find that out until sometime late May 2008, when they sent the Phoenix spacecraft as part of the Mars Scout program to Mars to research the history of water, and they happened to find intelligent life on the planet. Obviously, you're not going to hear about this in the news because finding intelligent life on Mars is big, like like really big. Okay, so so the government calls them the Xizin. It's spelled Xiczin. They're like a dying race of like humanoid beings, I guess you could say, that live in catacombs deep below Mars' surface because the planet's like completely desolate. And we have um, some sort of pact agreement with them. The U.S. has promised some aid to them. Actually, in Area 51, a couple of them are staying there permanently. Fun fact, they like playing World of Warcraft. Who knew? Aliens playing World of Warcraft. Oh, they released a lot of information to the government, and sometime around the 80s, the hibernating space bear in its little spacecraft, I guess you could call it, found its way to Mars, and the Zizin, I can't pronounce this crap. I'm sorry. So the Martians, I'll call them for now. Um, so they found Space Bear, who was still in his, surprisingly, in his state of induced hibernation. So what they did was, since a bear can't survive on Mars and stuff, because there's kind of a lack of atmosphere and water, was um, they modified Space Bear with their alien technology into robot Space Bear. Like, they replaced a lot of its major organs with alien technological pokery jiggery, whatever. So it could survive in zero gravity and almost no atmosphere. So, thus, Robot Space Bear was born. So Robot Space Bear, like, sort of became like an android, bear droid. Part robot, part bear. Space Bear, since it's in space, whatever. They kind of kept Space Bear as a pet for a while, I guess you could call it. Now, thanks to the alien technology, Space Bear was incredibly smart, like, pretty much as smart as a human being. Um, just want to let you know that, because that comes into play later. But anyway, the return of Space Bear back to Earth took place late January of this year. There was a supposedly failed space probe to Mars. Sent by the Russians. It was a Russian Mars probe that supposedly failed and was destroyed over the Pacific. But no, it was actually carrying Space Bear and a couple of the Zizin aliens from Mars to Area 51. Cool stuff. So, Robot Space Bear stayed in Area 51 for a small amount of time. But then he broke out. He's incredibly smart bear. You know. Oh yeah, then Robot Space Bear traveled to Japan for like a couple months to learn ninjutsu from a grandmaster. Then he became like sort of a demigod for a small rural village outside of Okinawa. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into the details. Um, yeah, this is a story about Meaghan getting a concussion. I should get back to that. Skipping over the boring stuff. Um, Robot Ninja Space Bear found his way back to the U.S. Somehow got to Ben's grad party, and then challenged Meaghan to a battle. Don't ask why. So, here's how it went down. Meaghan was fighting the bear with both arms tied behind her back. Obviously she had to give the bear a handicap, so it would be a fair fight. Luckily, she knew Savat. It's type of it's known as like French kickboxing. Um, spelled Savate. It was a fighting style developed in the 19th century by sailors, um, using mostly kicks and slaps, because there were legal penalties for using a closed fist to fight, because it was considered a closed fist was considered a deadly weapon. So to avoid legal penalties, they used mostly like kicking and stuff. Plus, also, fighting style was used to like balance herself on like a rocking shaped stick. So cool. Yeah. So anyway, she beat Bear no problem. You know, it was out like she took it down pretty hard. So anyway, after fighting Ninja Robot Space Bear, uh, Meaghan, Mel, and Jenna decide to do a congratulatory double piggyback ride in which Meaghan fell off, hit her head, got a slight concussion, um, went to the hospital. She was fine. It's cool. But you should have seen Space Robot Ninja Bear. He had like 4 broken ribs, internal bleeding, and so on. But luckily in the hospital, Meaghan talked a little bit to Space Bear, and she convinced him to go work for NASA. So by once he makes a full recovery, um, Space Bear will be with NASA helping save the world or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's what happened this weekend. That's all for now. Mel, I hope to see you tomorrow.